Welcome to the Will and Dave Show with your hosts, Will and Dave, where we talk about just about anything. Hope you enjoy.
Well, there we go, Will. That is the opener for the Will and Dave Show. I'm going to redo that. There you go, Will. That's the opener for the Will and Dave Show. So, Will, we should introduce ourselves.
I am Will. I am the snarky smartass son of a snarky smartass. So, we're just distilling it down further as we go.
I've never heard myself described that way.
Well, better to be a smartass than a dumbass.
That's true. That's true. Although I think I have been called that. And I'm Dave, the old, more conservative part of Will and Dave Show. And I will never, ever have a man bun.
It's because you can't, isn't it?
Yes, it is. But he and I came up with this idea to have a conversation about some wild and crazy things. And that was the birth of this show, is our conversations about hard topics. Is that a fair observation, Will?
Yeah, I mean, I can't count the number of times we stayed up until like 2 a.m. my time talking about things that I'm probably not qualified to be trying to talk to you about or educate you on, but I tried anyways. So we thought, well, let's just do that with more structure.
that is us, the Will and Dave Show.
Yeah. Feels kind of surreal now that it's actually here.
Hit like, hit subscribe, hit the bell.
Like,
etc.
comment, subscribe, hit the little bell down in the doobly-doo. Just spread the love, guys.
William, it's been
David,
a minute.
I don't know if I'm nostalgic or cringing more at that clip. Oh boy.
Hit the doobly-doo.
I mean, the voice is, anytime I hear myself do a silly voice, it's pretty cringy, but specifically that particular voice. And I was also a lot I was a lot more rotund back in the time that was recorded. So that was also a nice little blast from the past.
It has been 1 year, and we have some fun things this evening. We have a guest host who's going to be on here in a little bit, and Tim Vanden Heuvel, who has hosted this show with us a few times, actually. I was counting. I was going through getting clips, and he's been with us 5 or 6 times, actually, over the course of the year.
Yeah, he's our most consistent co-host.
And we didn't even have to pay him a dime. It's awesome. He just is a sucker for punishment.
Apparently, yeah.
Yes. And our show sponsors are going to be joining us live this evening. As they have time, they're going to log in, and we're going to bring them in live, and we're going to say howdy doody and interview our show sponsors really briefly.
They've been long-running sponsors, so I feel like it's the least we could do.
Well, the
seeing
one
as
has
they
been
pay us so
sponsoring
well.
me for over 30 years, so
I think she deserves more than a live video then.
oh, she probably deserves not to have a live video, but I conned her into coming on, so yeah. So while we're waiting on them, what was one of your highlights of the past year? On the show, obviously.
Ooh, show speaking, probably my upgrade for my camera. Looking back at the old clips with my old camera system it is still somewhat cringy to look at, but I mean, making do with what we had at the time. I think also, especially now that we've spent some time today listening to what we used to sound like back then, I think we've come a long ways in just how comfortable we are in front of a microphone and a camera in this case.
Virginia Slim, you've come a long way, baby.
That is a musical reference from well before my time.
Well before your time.
Well before my time.
We have a guest sponsor.
Ooh.
Why, hello.
Well, hello there, guys. How's it going?
It is going awesome.
This podcasting is becoming kind of a family affair, isn't it?
It really is. So, William, why don't you interview our show sponsor?
Well, seeing as she's our first sponsor, would you like to tell us about who you are and how you sponsor the show?
Sure. Well, I am a long arm quilter, and that is my huge machine that you're seeing in back of me. And I do a fair bit of live streaming. And so because, I was kind of into cameras and microphones and things like that with Dave, he encouraged me to start a podcast too. So now I also have a podcast, a little more lightweight maybe than Dave and Will's, a little more light entertainment, and it's called Measure Twice, Cut Once, and Other Life Lessons Learned from Quilters.
That does sound much more pleasant than what we do.
And we are not ashamed to admit that you are kicking our butt at viewership and downloads and every other metric. Hence the reason why you get to sponsor our show, because you actually have viewers.
Right. I know you'd love to turn the tables, but the thing is, quilters are podcast listeners. I know they are. So I'm just in the right niche.
And also, your content is just generally very palatable content. What we talk about tends to be divisive and polarizing.
Well, someone was telling me yesterday that she really enjoyed my podcast, and when she has a hard time sleeping at night, that's what she reaches for.
Compliment's a compliment, I guess.
Well,
Well, we just want to say thank you for sponsoring the show, Susan.
My pleasure.
And I promise it'll be a year until we get you on the air live again.
Perfect. Sounds real good. You guys have a great show.
Thanks for coming,
Thanks.
Sue.
All righty.
Okay, bye-bye. Well, that
She really is kicking our butts.
Oh, she is walking away with it.
Mm-hmm.
So why don't we introduce our guest host, and then whenever Mallory shows up, we will bring him on.
Well, our guest host, I can't put my hand in frame, is the one and only Tim Van Den Heuvel, number
Hey,
one
Tim.
fan.
Hey, ho, guys. How's it going?
It's going good.
First
Wunderbar.
off, I'd like to congratulate you guys for being on the air for a year. I can't believe when Dave talked to me earlier this week, he says to me, he says, how would you like to guest host the show this on Saturday? I says, oh, yeah, sure. I says, I've got nothing really planned. He goes, yeah, it's our anniversary show. I says, what? A year? My God, like, I can't believe it. It seems like it was only a couple months ago that you guys kicked this thing off. So
Yeah.
kudos to both of you.
It was on Halloween of last year we started the show.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's unreal. It's hard to believe.
It's been a time.
But unlike one of Susan's viewers, I don't watch you guys to go to sleep at night or anything like that.
You
I
watch our
hope
show to
not.
get all riled up.
True.
That's
You've
more
done
like
that a few times.
Hey, Will, I'll kick you off the streaming, fix your camera, then you can come back. It's you and me, Tim. There's a number
Oh,
one
wonderful.
where Tim normally is, or where Will usually is.
Well, he should be number one, actually. So
He should be.
there you go. So at the beginning, at the intro, I seen a couple of clips of you and Will, and I'm looking like, I don't mean to be ignorant, but I think you've aged a year, Dave.
Look at what the world has gone through in a year, and I have to cover it, and we have to argue about it. So yeah, I've aged a year.
It's been a rough year. That's to
Oh,
say the
man.
least.
We were
hope
looking at
tw-
some of the topics, or I was looking at the topics, I guess. I was looking for some clips, and man, we've covered some heavy stuff. I avoided them for the anniversary show, though.
Well, it's been crazy. I know I've been on a few of those fairly, how can I put it, interesting shows where we got pretty heated, and it was good though. It was what the premise of the show was always about, is that you can argue and still be buddies at the end of after the show. We don't always have to agree on every topic.
That's right.
Exactly.
Welcome back, Will.
Thank you. Still having a few technical difficulties, but we'll make do.
Oh, you look good in any light, William.
Oh, you.
So while we are going over, I'm going to go back into the archives and play. So Tim and I, we did a live, like, it was an intro to the intro show. We were doing a practice show, and this was October 12th, I believe, of last year. And I had sent you a list of procedures, Tim, for what to do to be a guest on the Will and Dave show. And this was your response. And I'm going to keep your mic live while we watch this clip from the first live show I think we actually had on the show.
Mm-hmm.
I want to bring up a little topic here because I'm looking at my phone and you sent me some notes on how to, a few notes on how to log in onto this live feed. And it says here, a few notes. Number 1, try to get the camera at or above eye level so we don't get a good shot of inside your nose. Really?
Really?
I trimmed these babies tonight, Dave.
He got them all pretty for showbiz, and then we shot him down.
And I did it again tonight for you. And trust me, let me talk. Since we're on that topic, let me talk about that.
Yeah.
At my age, I'm growing hair in areas I never thought I'd be able to. It's okay. It's the truth. You're going to be my age one day.
Don't remind me, please. Let me live in
my
ignorant bliss.
God. You know what's the worst part of these suckers? Like it's like two caterpillars on my forehead. Like it's
need
just
a weed whacker
unreal.
for those suckers.
Oh man.
Well,
My wife went and bought me one of those electric shaver things or whatever.
Yep.
And it's battery operated or whatever. So I'm up there the other day and it's going, like they're so thick, like, and the battery must have been getting weak, and it got stuck in my eyebrows. Like, that sucks.
Well, I do want to say that I never thought about those things until about 3 years ago or 4 years ago. And Susan, she said, you need to trim your eyebrows, your nose hairs, and your ear hairs. And
Ear hairs. Oh yeah.
Who thinks of that when you're 30?
Oh, I sure didn't. I was perfect when I was 30. I thought I'd get better with age.
Speaking of other things that we were way better at when we were 30, I'm going to go back to another one of our clips.
Oh boy.
Virtual sex. Don't have sex over the internet. Do not do it. If you're naked on the internet, even if it is on Zoom or... Okay, I want to pause this, guys, because I just am reading. Are you reading the middle part of paragraph?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Any
This was
other
awful.
format. Don't
This
have sex on the internet. Just don't do it. On a side note, William, I don't think I've said the word sex that many times in that short a time frame in my life, and it was inspired by the BC government.
Everyone knows the government really is the sexiest one.
And yes,
I just
Tim,
brought this topic up to a couple weeks ago to my son-in-law's father about that very topic about Dr. Henry, on how we were supposed to perform our, how can I put it, our sexual
yes.
desires through a glory hole. And he thought I think he thought I was punch drunk. And then I actually had to bring that article up to him. Like, it's unbelievable, talking about that as what we've gone through over the past year on some of the cockamamie stories and articles and newscasts that have gone on. It's just, I don't think you can write this stuff up.
Everyone knows that medical policy is the number one aphrodisiac.
Yeah.
Just really gets
Works
you
for
going.
me well. Oh, really?
That whole rant, it started with the post on Facebook that I saw, and I had to do with the glory hole. And I called BS. I said, no, that's not real. Fake news. And I went to research it. And sure enough, it is actually, they described the glory hole on the BC.
Dr. Bonnie Henry did.
Yes.
I
In
give it.
in a podcast, or not a podcast, a newscast.
I give them a little bit of credit for being stuffy government peeps. They actually know what it was and described it relatively well. So, they've got that going for them.
I kind of want to know who described it to Bonnie Henry.
I wish I was a fly on the wall at that meeting. So Bonnie, we have a plan to enable people to still enjoy the pleasure of each other's company, but more safely. We cut a hole in a wall.
Oh man! Like, I wonder if they look back on that and think to themselves that maybe not been such a really good, thing to put on live screen or live TV.
This is gonna be one of the moments where history will not look kindly on us.
Oh, see, I think
COVID
that
sex.
particular moment, history is going to look back, and it's going to be one of those like hilarious moments. I think it's going to be looked back fondly, but not for the right reasons.
Exactly. Yes, I just was looking at the screen at the previous one with the webpage from the government, from the BC government, and the part that I wasn't sure about. There's a line in there about masturbating by yourself. Isn't that sort of redundant?
Mutual masturbation is a thing
I
for
guess.
some people. I mean,
And they had to differentiate
To each-
on the
to each
BC
their
government
own.
website. Yeah.
My God, like, I can't even speak. Like, how do we ever get on this topic?
The BC government
Oh yeah, right.
and COVID.
blame the government.
Yes.
It's the answer to
Well, you
everything.
know what?
All of life's problems.
I'll-
Blame the government.
I always thought that U.S. politics and governmental things was always a bit of a funny thing until you start bringing up stuff like this, and right in my own backyard in British Columbia.
I tell you.
We've got our own skeletons in the closet.
Yeah. So next up, speaking of skeletons in the closet, you were on holidays or something, I believe, William, and your mother and I and Allison and Austin, we did a Smith family holiday movie review. And this was one of the clips actually that you found and sent and said there's a lot of good quotables here.
So the reason it's a Christmas movie is, one, you have aspects of Christmas. There are gifts. There are a lot of.
Isn't that where it starts?
It is. It takes place in and the tower is in a Christmas party in what
Nagasaki building.
Yeah, Nagasaki Tower, and it is a love story at the same time. He wants to see.
And for the record, it's not the Nagasaki Tower.
It
It's
is
the Yakatomi Tower.
Oh right, yeah, the Yakatomi Tower,
For
Nagasaki
the
Tower.
holidays, there's his wife, and it just so happens there's a terrorist group that comes in. That's a subplot.
Oh, and her name is Holly. It must be a Christmas movie.
So the terrorist, thing is a subplot.
It's a subplot where the real plot, it's a love story. See, people forget that the underlying aspect was he was coming to reclaim his wife, and it got messed up, and so it was really a story of how can I get her back to this tragedy. Yeah, and the terrorists were just unfortunate.
Really deep romantic drama,
but that's not the main plot.
I mean, he's right. Die Hard is the Christmas movie.
When's the last time you watched Die Hard, Tim?
Actually, you know what? About 3 weeks ago, it was on TCM, Turner Classic Movies, believe it or not.
That makes me feel old. I don't like that.
Oh, well, when was that movie out? Like, that's got to be...
late
late
80s?
I will look it up because I have the power.
Bruce Willis still had some hair, so
it's over 30 years old. That's for darn sure.
It was a while back. Yep. It's funny though, because rewatching that episode, trying to find quotables and finding that one, there were also a ton. Like we just did like a little fact check there on the Nakatomi Tower or wherever it is. There were so many fact checks we should have done on that episode. We could make a whole segment of mistakes we made on that episode. It's hilarious.
So when was it out, Dave? Holy crow.
I wasn't even a twinkle in my daddy's eye.
34 years old. No. Yeah. Wow.
There's a number of Christmas movies that made an appearance in that one. And then right after that, for New Year's, you and I were going to do a review of a movie, William, and we got our one and only YouTube strike.
Yep.
Got kicked off
for
using
using a fair use movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
We angered the gods.
Yes, we angered the YouTube gods.
But yet we could talk about masturbating, and that doesn't make them angry.
Well, there's no copyright on that.
Look.
Yeah. Nobody's patented it yet.
That's right.
Oh, there you go.
So one more element we're going to do in the show this evening is we're going to do our minute. And each of us, as this is an anniversary show, so we don't want to get heavy into politics or COVID or vaccine mandates, except all of us think about it. And it's one of the things that we do on the show. It's sort of like an itch that you can't get rid of.
Yeah, that's a problem.
So we're going to limit it to 1 minute each. And so I'm going to give you guys a break, and I'm going to go first with my minute because I just want to get out of the way, and then I can laugh at you two. So my rant this week, my 1 minute that I want to use is going to be U.S. politics. Now, I love the Constitution, even like most Americans, but who thought up this lousy political system that we have? There always is an election going on, and when there is not an election going on, there are folks vying to be in the next election so they can fight over the election. It's every 4 years, yes, except it's not. It's every year and a half in between the midterms and the governor's elections and everything else. So for heaven's sakes, America, follow suit with Canada. Have your elections in 90 days. Get it over with and get on with life. Thank you. You may go back to your regularly scheduled programming.
Short and
Dave,
sweet. You feel better now?
Yes, I do.
I kind of disagree with you there, though.
Why?
I do. I kind of like the way the American political system is run. I truly do. Look at what we just went through in Canada with an election, and it took, what was it, 30 days from the time that Trudeau dropped the writ to an election? That doesn't give.
I thought it was 90.
No, it wasn't even that. I don't think it was 30.
I think
days.
It's 90 from when it's announced, but they only have like 30 or 40 days to campaign.
And to me, that doesn't give the public or the voters enough time to make a good, decisive decision. I don't. I think maybe you're right. A year is too long, but I think there needs to be 2 years or whatever.
They start 2 years into their term. They start.
I feel like there's got to be a middle ground there. There's got to be a middle ground between the American side, which at the time the election actually happens, we're all so absolutely sick of hearing about the election, whereas the Canadian side, it's just there and gone so quickly.
I didn't realize it was 2 years. So Sleepy Joe there, we're going to have a starting up here in the next year or so.
So the election's every 4, although it begins the ramp up every 2 years, right? So
because you spend about a year finding your candidate.
4, and then in the middle, in the alternating 4, are the races for Congress and for the Senate, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And so it just never ends. It absolutely never ends. I mean, and here we're crazy about the races for governors for crying out loud, which mean nothing. And the world
you and I were talking about that earlier this week.
Yes, and the world goes nuts over a governor of New Jersey. Like, who freaking cares?
The governor of Minneapolis or the mayor of Minneapolis, that election is kind of interesting, but I'm not going to get into that. That's not my minute.
Okay.
Minute to win it.
That's right. So going on to our next clip is Sam Mitchell. And I don't know if you remember this one, Tim. I'm sure you watched it, as you have watched all of them. He was a young man who emailed us, and he said, "Hey, am I able to get on your show?" And we said, "Sure. Who are you?" And we got to talking. And he is an active. He's a kid with autism who doesn't care, and he lives life, and he's just an amazing kid, and he knows everything about the world of wrestling. Okay, I'm going to go first. WrestleMania 12.
Okay. Bret Hart versus Shawn Michaels, an Iron Man match for the wrestling belt. Happened was they went overtime. They decided to restart the match. Shawn hit with a sweet chin music, which is a super kick or a side kick. 1, 2, 3. Got a new champion. Yay.
Your turn, Will.
Let's see. I'm going to go with 27.
27? Okay. John Cena versus The Miz for the WWE Championship. Rock decided to be an idiot and cost John Cena the match, and Miz won when no one thought he would.
4.
Okay. Randy Savage versus Ted DiBiase. There was a tournament for the wrestling belt, which was the first ever, and Hulk Hogan interfering hit Ted DiBiase in the back with a chair, and then ran him with a flying elbow drop. 1, 2, 3, new champion. Yay.
1, 2, 3, new champion.
He was an amazing kid. He was living life. He didn't care.
Yeah.
And he just was. He was rocking it. He really was. And
It's
he was
inspiring,
an awesome
to be honest with you.
It really is.
Yeah, that, for those of us who think, life is hard, it really isn't. Who wants to go next with your minute to win it?
Oh, I'll go.
Okay.
I just don't know if I can fit it all in a minute.
Well,
you know how I am, Dave.
If you
Talk fast.
Okay, we're going for Tim's minute.
Well, let me start off. One of the I don't know if it's I guess more than anything it's a pet peeve, and to me it's mainstream media. Over the past 2 years, I have never become more
disheartened or unsure of what's the truth anymore. You look at CNN, you look at Fox News, you look at CBC, CTV. They all seem to have an outlook. It's either left or right. To me, the media has really changed over the past few years. I don't think there's a non-biased media station out there anymore. All that I want to hear about is the non-biased truth, and I don't think we're seeing that anymore. I think they've become very paid by their political supporters, and that's how they sway their thoughts.
Yeah, you get the nail on the head.
I can't even argue with you, Tim. I'd really like to.
I know, isn't that the truth? Like, it's horrible.
Yep.
Like, you can watch CNN and you hear one side of it, and then all of a sudden you can flip over to Fox News and you get the other one. Mm-hmm. And in my opinion, in Canada here, the biggest, the worst in my opinion is Global News. They are the most biased newscasting I've ever seen. Like, they don't tell the truth anymore. All I want to know is the facts. They're very good at the way they even ask their questions on their guests, unlike you, Dave.
I try not to ask any questions of my guests. I leave that to William.
It's a scary prospect.
So there was my minute to win it. Pretty good, huh?
It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
So we had a bet that it was going to be on COVID, and we both lost. So.
Oh, are you really?
It started with the thought that, hey, Tim's been mad about COVID all week. We should give him a little bit of time on the show to talk about COVID. And we were pretty sure you could have used your minute to rant about COVID and vaccines and mandates.
But you told me I couldn't do that.
I know. I gamed it.
Rigged the game.
Oh, you rigged it. Yeah, there you go.
So right in the middle of all of our talks on politics and racism and everything, we took a weekend and we talked about mental health.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't remember how we got on the topic. And we had a friend of ours on. Her name is Anne, and this was her.
It was talking about how the pandemic has affected people's mental health.
Yes.
Both for children who are missing out on social experiences, and then for adults that are dealing with the fact they're in a tight space now for long periods of time with their friends and family and don't really have a way to get away from them very easily.
Right.
It's a lot of extra mental pressure.
Why, hello, Anne.
Hi.
Hello.
Wait, I'm not Anne.
Welcome to the Will and Dave Show, live on YouTube.
It's good to be here. I'm honored to be here.
Well, don't say that yet.
Yeah. Don't
the show's over before you say things like that.
Right.
So
I just want to interject that cautionary tale is still applicable today.
you can overcome communication hindrances. And this is an interesting way to look at it. So the next time you're speaking to your spouse, or she's speaking to you, this is a good tool to use. Stop what you're doing. Look at the person you're talking to. Listen to what's being said. Hear what's being felt. You may not agree, but hear what's being felt. Don't interrupt. Learn from his or her experience. Don't prove your point. Allow the other to challenge your position. Respect the other position. Value your relationship above your opinion.
So I'm going to ask right now if we can get a copy of that, because, and I mean this in all seriousness, is that is the basis of this show.
I feel like we could get a t-shirt, value your relationships over your opinions. That could be like a slogan.
It would save my marriage most days.
I'm in the middle of a divorce. I'm not going to make jokes about that.
It's one of the things that is interesting in her talk, and we were talking of kids and COVID and all that, and out of that a nugget which really encapsulates our show and the whole purpose for it, and that was interesting, I thought. But.
Yeah, she was, not to denigrate any of our other guests, but I think Ann Dickout as a guest was probably one of the most insightful people we've had in terms of directly speaking to the ethos of our show.
Oh, I agree. Yeah, for sure.
So the next one that we have is, we did a series with you and Mallory, with Tim and Mallory.
Yeah.
It was on this. It was on the state of a small business in COVID, and there were lots of fun moments, and this was one that it sort of encapsulated our conversation.
Quick question,
I
Dave.
just
When
pulled
was
up
that?
The other day, June 10th.
What, Will?
Quick question is, when was this show aired?
I'll look it up as it's playing. How's that?
Okay.
I just pulled out the other day, June 10th. I went and bought a lift of lumber. I bought 8s, 10s, 12s, 14s, 16s. 5 lifts. It cost me $6,600. Last Monday, I went to pick up one lift of 2x6 18. It was $6,100. One lift. When I went and bought the week before 5 lifts, it cost me $27,000. 2 years difference. And you're telling me that product, I mean, you don't need to wear a hat. This is not conspiracy theory. This is just straight up what's driving the price of lumber. I was talking about EWP the other day. I got to you earlier. The other day I got a phone call from one of my suppliers, and he said, there's a problem that there's no more black spruce in Quebec, that they can build this stuff at the plant there. But not to worry, the manufacturer said, we can still supply you in Western Canada, but except we're going to do it from California. Apparently there's no black spruce problem in California. Of course, they buy their lumber from us. We ship it down to them. They turn around, turn it into EWP, and then ship it back to me. And for that service, I get an increase in price of 11%. Because they don't have black spruce in Quebec? Like, really? I tell you, we don't know what it is. Whatever's motivating all of this historic pricing, historic supply chain issues, all of this, whatever's behind it, we don't know what it is, but it's very real, and it's very real for the small business guy who's trying to make it happen.
That was in May of this year.
Wow. That was pretty interesting, because you fast forward to today, November 6th, and we're in exactly the same position, if not in a worse position now, talking about supply chain issues.
Oh,
huge issues. My daughter and son-in-law, as you know, run a little kind of mercantile grocery store, liquor store type thing here in the Shuswap. And her suppliers are already warning her of some of the supply shortages that are going to happen. And it's very real. And you try to tell people this, and they're scoffing it off. And it's going to be a challenge this winter. Some of the things that she was saying to me here the other day is that the Kellogg's factory is going to be, we're going to have an issue getting cereals, oats, baking type stuff again.
Right.
I think we're going to have another 2021 toilet paper debacle again.
Oh, don't go there. Seriously?
That's what they're predicting. I don't know if it'll happen 2021. It could be 2022. And then
I feel like that's largely on people, though. Like the toilet paper debacle wasn't because they couldn't make toilet paper. It was because people went and stocked up on it at a obtuse rate.
Oh, it's a frenzy, is what it was. But you look at what's happening right now. You look at that ship that's caught on fire just off the BC coast there, and dropped what was it, over 100 containers into the ocean. I was talking to a gentleman today. He owns a logging company here in the Shuswap, quite a large one, and he had ordered a complete sea can of truck tires for his logging equipment. He can't get it. They don't know where it's at. There's actually, believe it or not, a tire shortage happening here in BC, at least here anyway. Try and get a snow tire put on your vehicle here. Can't do it.
No
and
way.
the biggest, and the number one, it's because of that ship off the coast. You mean to tell me that was full of snow tires? I don't know if it's just a story or if it's an easy way to get away.
I call nonsense on that. I don't know what the answer is, but I think that is just.
I mean, I think there's a ton of contributing factors. I mean, labor shortages right now are probably a contributing factor. People don't want to go back to work to minimum wage jobs. I don't know how much that affects tradespeople, but factory workers, I think, are probably on the list of people who didn't want to go back to work as vaccine rollouts happened and people were expected to go back to work. So there's a whole bunch of different hiccups in the supply chain that are causing this, and it's easy to pin it, or to try and pin it on, a ship sinking, because that's a substantial bombastic event. But I don't think that's what's causing it in the large scale. I think that's just a spike on the graph.
Did you see what they stated Vancouver is for a living wage right now?
No.
$20.53 an hour is for a living wage in Vancouver.
Yeah.
Kelowna was $17.80 or something like that. So I wonder if we're going to see a round of, that's what they're calling it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder if we're going to start to see some labor unrest now that people are starting to come back to the workforce again, right?
Yeah.
I wonder if that's the next thing that's going to take place.
I mean, you look at that, and when they say the minimum living wage for this city is $20 an hour, and you look at most entry-level jobs, they're not paying anywhere close to that.
No.
If I were someone at an entry-level job, I'd be perturbed.
So I had to run away because my mouse has just died, and Mallory's waiting in the green room.
Oh.
And I can't accept them until I change. I'm not
batteries.
sure what happened to my mouse, so
on the fly.
See what happens here. As Mallory is listening in the green room, as I change batteries on my mouse.
I'll scratch my nose here.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, thank you for that quality content, Tim.
That's right. Oh man. Come on, wake up.
That'll be the YouTube algorithm is going to kick that off.
Oh yeah. That was far too violent.
We will be right with you, Tim. We're going to go and do Mallory, then we can come back to the show. Hey, Mallory, I got a shot of your head.
Oh,
high quality.
Hey, there you are.
There you go.
Are you coming off the ice?
Well, yeah, I just we're just off the ice, just finished our game. And I don't know what you can see there. If it looks like real big, the arena's behind me.
I miss
hockey.
Can you see it? I do.
Ice, baby.
I miss hockey.
Yeah. So we had a great game. But hey, so this is I understand this is your anniversary.
Yes.
Show.
And you're the sponsor.
Okay, so let me congratulate you and Will, because I don't want to talk about living wages with one of my employees. I want to. What I want to do is say, what the world needs right now is not just opinion, but healthy discourse, and it starts with opinion. It starts with having feelings and observations and opinions about things, and then putting them out there, discussing them. And the dialogue is what's so desperately needed. You guys are doing that. You've done it for a year, and I applaud you. Well done.
Well, and we thank you for sponsoring the show, because it takes people like you to have shows like this on the air. So we just want to say thank you.
Well, I'm glad to be a part. If I wasn't sponsoring it, I could probably afford a living wage. Just saying.
Okay, we'll go back to the ice. We're going to let you go. We just wanted to say thanks in person.
All righty. Well, you're very welcome, and I'm glad to be a part, and even more so when you get up here.
Okay, we'll talk to you in a bit.
Okay.
Goodbye.
Take care.
Yeah.
I feel like someone should have warned him that trying to connect wirelessly on a video call inside of a big metal box might not go well.
You know what? His audio was good. That's all.
Yep, the audio was good. The podcast is going to sound great.
That's right.
Beautiful.
That arena sure is nice up there, though, isn't it?
Oh, I can't wait to go skating on it again.
I just have to say this because it's our show. So the city of Fort St. John is taking information or bids on the new visitor center. Have you seen that, Tim?
I've been reading that, yes.
Have you seen this, William? You should educate yourself about your politicians in your city.
I'm not sure if I want to. I know just enough to know that I don't want to know much more.
It's like $11 million or $8 million, isn't it, Tim?
Yeah, did you see what Steve Thorlickson, that was ex-Fort St. John mayor, written as a comment in there?
Yes.
I think it worked out to $1,600 a square foot to build that building is what it was.
Yeah.
Wow, that should be the Taj Mahal for $1,600 a square foot, I would think.
It should be.
Wow.
Interesting politics.
Oh, gosh. We'll cover that next show, Will.
Small town politics, baby. Love it.
So next up, we were at your house on holidays, Tim, and we called in Will, and we thought that we were off the air, but we weren't. There we go. That shot is live. My little buddy.
I should probably have my thing now. Oh, no, I don't know. I'm not going to mess with my Zoom because I don't know if I'm going to get back to where it should be.
Do you think this is how Elon Musk and Richard Branson felt when they went to space?
It wasn't Elon Musk.
Oh, yeah. No, he didn't go yet.
Bezos.
That's what I meant.
Bezos.
And we were supposed to be off air. There was supposed to be our countdown, and I forgot to mute the microphones.
Oh, my God.
Oh, you were all riled up that day trying to get everything set up.
Oh, man. It was one of those things that I should not have done.
Oh, my God. We had lights, and we had extension cords, and we had tables, and we're rearranging furniture. My God, it's like we were setting up for a motion picture shoot.
Well, we were.
Right.
In a sense, yeah.
So, William, are you ready for your minute?
Yeah, I'll take my minute. I'll take my minute to win it, yeah.
Okay, here's William's minute to win it. Eventually.
Yeah, I'll wait. Okay, so this is off topic from almost everything else we've talked about tonight, but I want to talk about dehumanizing language because I've had the unfortunate experience this week of spending a whole bunch of time on Twitter for the purposes of promoting the show. I do not recommend Twitter. I recommend you stay far away from it. But what I've learned in my time on Twitter over the last 2 weeks or so is that people have a tendency, especially when we're talking about highly divisive or incendiary topics, to use dehumanizing language to describe people of the other persuasion or the other opinion to them. And I don't think that furthers any conversation at all. You know, calling people Nazis or calling them any number of derogatory names, it makes them seem less like people and people with opinions that matter. Their opinions matter. Even if we may think they're wrong, the fact that they have them, most people are not sitting there twirling their mustaches trying to end the world. They're trying to make the world a better place, whether they're doing it the right way or not. And dehumanizing them does not help.
Whoops. That was a mistake on my part.
There, done. Oh, we lost Tim's audio.
Okay, I got you back. I had you muted, Tim. Sorry.
Well done, Will. I thought that was very good. Good minute.
Thank you.
Man, we can't argue about our minutes this week. What's with that?
Well, you know what it is, though, is that what Will talked about, it's no more, it's keyboard warriors. It's easier to hide behind a keyboard and call people out and dehumanize them or whatever, instead of where you could meet them on the street or at a coffee shop or whatever. Right. They wouldn't be saying the same things. They really wouldn't.
And that applies to large scale personalities, like big time people who run large shows and large podcasts. they
say
do
on
it too.
Fox News.
And yeah,
with
the
his
Matt
own
Walshes
shows
of the
now.
world,
Yeah.
they need to just tone it down, be a little bit more approachable, a little bit more, what's the word I'm looking for? Genteel.
But you know what, though, Will, and goes back to my minute, is that doesn't provide viewership.
Yeah, it doesn't sell.
It doesn't sell.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. They're all looking for ratings. They're all looking for something that will get the public riled up.
Mm-hmm.
So the only way they can do it is whoever can yell the loudest and scream the loudest is going to get the prize. Yeah. And it's terrible. It's the way the world is. Yeah, it's certainly not the way we were brought up. At least I wasn't.
It's true. It's true. We have one more memory, and it has to do with marriage. And so we're just going to run through that.
Yep. And you can't tell from this photo, but there's like 20 other people in this room at this moment, and everyone's mad because the lunch meat hasn't gotten there for us to snack on, and there's just water. And Austin and I are just sitting there enjoying a little peace and quiet at this lovely window. And our photographer didn't even capture this. One of my bridesmaids with their iPhones got this picture.
Right. I
and
remember.
then sent it to the photographer.
July 1st, 1960. We got married down at St. Paul's Church on North.
I just want to say I wasn't even born yet when they got married.
No, church is still there. So
that is so.
I don't recognize that couple in there.
I think that's what happens when you've been married that long. You don't recognize the people in the wedding pictures anymore.
That was a nice clip. I really enjoyed seeing Allison. I haven't seen her for a long time.
She is headed up. We got Fort St. John here in a few weeks because we
haven't seen her in forever.
We have a grandson on its way any day.
Oh, right.
And so they're headed up shortly after he's born. So,
oh, pretty exciting times.
It is. It means we're getting old, Tim. You know that, right?
Oh, Dave, crawling out of bed in the morning, boy, the bones are pretty creaky.
And the hair, it's everywhere.
Well, look at that, though. Like it's looking good, though, right? Hey,
you're doing better than I am, Tim.
Look at that hair, Tim.
I see that. You've done well, Dave.
Thick and luxurious.
Yeah, or something.
Are you going up to Fort St. John too, Dave? Or
Susan is. I'm going to be going a bit later on. I think I'm going to send her up, and I'm going to man the fort here, and then I'm sure I'll go up eventually. Except I'm going to get all the new baby phase out of the way, and then I'll go up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's kind of funny the way we're talking here. We're just talking as if, you know, I wonder what our viewers are looking at and thinking, those guys are just talking about nothing. It reminds me of the Seinfeld show.
Which Seinfeld show?
No, a Seinfeld show.
Oh, the show.
It's
yes.
a show about nothing.
Yes.
Yeah.
I started watching Seinfeld again recently. It's on
it's
Netflix
great.
or Hulu or something. That was a great show.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like
yeah, it really is.
It just was funny. Like it really.
And that's
was.
30 years old now too.
Some of the best television I've ever watched is about nothing, or podcasts I've ever listened to are about nothing.
Hey Tim, if you want to watch a show about you and me, there's a special with Martin Short and Steve Martin.
Oh, really?
I believe it's on Netflix. I'm almost sure it's on Netflix. And they did a special, and they bicker the whole show.
Send me the link. Send me the link after the show.
Yes, I will find it because it is. Yeah, it's you and me to the T.
Oh my.
On that lovely note of nothingness, shall we close out the show?
William.
Yes, sir.
It's been a year.
It's been a whole year.
Congratulations, you guys.
With Tim and you and me and Mallory. I had a list of all the guests on this show. It's quite a list, actually. We've had 8 or 10.
Yeah.
No, you've done well. I read that earlier. It looks really good.
Yeah. So
you guys have done well. Kudos to the next year.
Yeah.
There you go.
To one more year, and then we'll just go year by year. How's that?
Yeah.
There you go.
Play it by ear by year.
William, do you have anything for our guests?
I do. Stay safe, don't die, and have a good night, folks.
Well, Will, that is us, the Will and Dave Show.
Yeah. feels kind of surreal now that it's actually here.
Hit like, hit subscribe, hit the bell.
Like, comment, subscribe, hit the little bell down in the doobly-doo. Just spread the love, guys.